The British Council has been helping and supporting the development of creative cities for several years now. Creative cities being a perspective that culture and creativity make up a big part of urban development. One component of this thinking is the important role of creative hubs in development and in innovation. So what are creative hubs? These are normally centers, spaces, groups. They could be physical or non-physical. They can be maker spaces, artist-run spaces, hacker spaces, fab labs, or the more general term like innovation centers. We recently did a research in the UK identifying these hubs. They found out that these hubs contribute a big part to a city's development, to communities, and also to economic development. In Southeast Asia, we're also doing the same research in Malaysia, in Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. And we hope that through this research, we're able to support a network of creative hubs. Here in the Philippines, we're working in partnership with Ateneo Art Gallery to better understand the context of creative hubs.
When British Council invited us to do the research on creative hubs, we thought it would be a great opportunity for us to get a better sense of the landscape of creative hubs and innovation centers around the country, especially because of their definition of creative hubs as entities that facilitate the exchange and transfer of knowledge parallels very much with what we're trying to do here in the university. We are about to launch Arate, the Creativity Hub of Ateneo de Manila University. It's a space that envisions bringing together the arts, the sciences, and all other disciplines. In one wing, we have the Ateneo Art Gallery, visual arts, the theater arts, and in another wing, the Learning Innovation wing.
In choosing the lineup for this preliminary study, we realized that many of the creative hubs today started as artist-run initiatives. So when we came up with the listing, we wanted it to be representative of different art forms, visual arts, film, media-based practices, and theater, including dance and music. We also wanted to include co-working spaces and innovation centers, the latter especially because of recent developments in the educational system with the introduction of the K-12 program. Many schools are adopting their own innovation center programs. As a preliminary study, it's a good jump-off point to understand the ecology and direction of creative hubs in the Philippines.
Abaya was founded on the basis of need among emerging artists or young artists to have a platform for them to present their works. But I think our focus would be more on the process, knowledge building, rather than trying to seek out an end product to something.
Well, at the beginning, it was a dream of finding out how we could put a girls' education center. It's really intended to provide an alternative space where girls can explore the disciplines of the 21st century. But eventually, when we connected to our industry partners, it turned out to be the need out there to create an alternative learning hub where you don't only learn the highly demanded 21st century skills, but more importantly, it's a place where you get to fuse together both emerging, traditional, and avant-garde approaches to learning and teaching. So now, the buzzword that it came to be is innovation. So this is a collaboration between an academe and an industry partner.
98B started in 2012 because at the time there was a dearth in spaces wherein artists and creatives like us had a place to share, whether it's projects, ideas, or anything that they wanted to collaborate on. We have many activities, events, projects, and programs within the team. This started in Cubao, and it has evolved up until we moved to Escolta. These are various ways wherein people can share things, whether it's through talks, a bazaar, even a simple meal or gathering. We also have exhibitions, markets, different ways to make art, creativity, and design more accessible. We also have a residency program. We have invited and hosted several artists from different parts of Asia and also Australia and Italy. And they have used Manila as a jump-off point for their research and projects. Because the composition of 98B, we're all practicing artists, curators, writers. So individually, we do have our own networks and we pull them all together in 98B.
We wanted a physical space where the social development space would, collide and cross-pollinate the commercial space. We take pride in building a robust community. So it's not just about, working here, but really getting the community engaged. So we have several programs. We have talks. We have, in the co-working world, what is called jellies, which is kind of an informal get-together. We have workshops also. So basically to enhance the co-workers' knowledge.
Actually, it all started when I was in Korea during my residency, wherein I was with other Asian artists from Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Korea. And then it was a year-long residency, and during that time, we thought of maybe we can start a residency program in different cities, different countries. We do exhibitions with, here in Bukban, and then we also have collaborations with galleries in Manila, and then exchanges with other institutions in other countries.
Belias Artist Project started in 2013. Our headquarters for the foundation's activities is in Las Casas Filipinas de Alcazar in Bagak, Bataan. And we have a satellite space here in Manila called Belias Artist Outpost, where we have an exhibition space for all these projects and also a reading room and an art library that is free and accessible for everyone. We work with different communities depending on the project. For example, with Pavel Althamer, his point of interest was to engage with the Quiapo community during the Black Nazarene procession.
Casa San Miguel was a product of my residency in Kansas City, America. When I was serving a 2-year residency for the National Endowment for the Arts, and I decided I should just come home and do what I was doing in America here in the Philippines. Basically, we teach the kids here how to play music. They have 6 subjects. They learn their solo instrument. They have their theory class, their solfege class, their technique class, their ensemble class, which is a class where they learn how to play together, and they also have an arts class.
The Sipatlawin Ensemble started as a company of actors having reunion, staging performances in alternative spaces. We are alumni of the Philippine Institute for the Arts.
So naghanap kami ng alternative modes na kayang yakapin yung aming mga produksyon at sa paraan na mababayaran pa rin namin yung sarili namin ng makataong paraan. So we started performing in alternative spaces, bars,
living
cafes,
rooms of houses, toilets, parking lots.
Yes.
So if you ask us, sino ba yung audiences o communities ng Sipatlawin Ensemble, malawak ang range ng mga communities na kasama namin sa iba't ibang pagtatanghal. Mula sa mga kabataan, sa mga children communities, ng mga NGOs, sa iba't ibang underprivileged areas sa Maynila na tinuturuan namin.
My wife and I rented this space. It's a two-story old house. We live upstairs, but downstairs we're full of books by my dad, other objects left over. And my wife and I found the potential of actually emptying this first floor for us to have an active space of discussion. For us to also host friends who are filmmakers and artists, and dialogue with them to hopefully be in the center of things again in the discussion of our practice.
Because most of the hub managers or the people who lead these spaces are quite inspirational and influential to the community.
We've been trying to support the less popular forms like sound and moving image. We do a lot of talks, discussions. Part of our programs is a residency program we started way back in 2004, I think, in partnership with Asia Link when we started to host Australian artists.
For example, the makerspaces we have visited in the US, in Japan, Korea, in the United Kingdom, they're all heavily concentrated on producing a product. But a tangible product is just one side of the making process. What if the product is attached to a set of services, human services that help you enrich the value of that product? That's, I think, something that we were able to introduce here so that when we tell our students, you make something, we ask them deliberately, how are you going to add more value? Or how is this product going to add more value to the lives of the many people you had in mind?
What we want to do is to be able to build relationships, friendships, something deeper that's beyond the art practice. That, I think, is one way by which our goals are quite different from others. So we use all of these things combined to further more research, to further more engagement, and to slowly build a community that believes in the same things.
Like one of our key projects this year, we're doing a Better Brixton, what we call Better Brixton project. Since I was planning programming for the year, I wanted to do something around innovations on modern living in terms of architecture and the built environment, and basically address things like mobility, the lack of public spaces. So basically to make life more livable.
Well, I think one of the contributions that we could do is probably we can help in enriching the existing cultural scene that we have here. So parang yung Lokban is very known for pahiyas. So parang aside from pahiyas, we could probably bring contemporary art so that people would also have another things to look forward to when they visit Lokban.
We started various artist projects because we wanted to create a platform where people can discover new things. We wanted to create new dialogues and nurture new connections between local, international, and different types of art practices.
A lot of the people that come to CASA are mostly families and children of fishermen, low-income families, so underserved communities.
It was pre-election in 2010 during the Gloria Arroyo regime, and we felt like with everything that was happening, there was a massacre, there's impunity. So then appointees in cultural and government offices, we were thinking that no theater company was responding to what was happening at that time.
It's a long story, but it started out as an editing business. Those who would come would have the need for their films to be made and to be cut. But eventually, as soon as this evolved, and we transferred here in this space. Started off with simple screenings of films, independent films by local filmmakers, also a little bit of international filmmaker friends, but also I conducted small group workshops. We also do installations, video work, maybe a bit of performance to maybe present this work in a different venue, a different audience.
Hubs play a big role in the development or the attractiveness of a city, in the identity building of a city, and this in turn attracts tourists, investors, and other artists and creatives to move to those spaces.
Spaces like Green Abaya, we believe is important in community building, communities of artists, and building communities with other communities. So I think based on these two basic principles, we sustained Green Papaya up to today. So we're now running 17 years.
In the Philippines, it's called the first integrated makerspace. The term integrated is powerful. It's integrated to the curriculum. Because if you have a makerspace consciousness and it's not attached to a school-based program, it dies and fizzes out.
It's important to note na sa early years ng SIPAT, as much as we were rehearsing from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., nagsisimula na yung pag-acknowledge how do we sustain this practice. Because a lot of Filipinos are very passionate. Gusto natin to we want to perform, but how do you sustain it? Ang natutunan namin sa SIPAT, it's not because people don't want to be in the theater, ayaw nila ng performance, no. It's just that wala lang entry points or access points para makapasok. So how do you build an inclusive space na pwedeng pumasok yung mga tao, be it as collaborators, audience members, or part ng process ng production?
I think what makes CASA unique is that it's very dynamic. The things are always changing. It's very flexible. So we adapt to times. Technology has changed the way that we run the place. So when you come here, things are always different.
They attract creatives from different sectors, young and old, and they get together and they inspire people to exchange ideas and spark innovation.
We have the fabrication laboratory. It's like a mini makerspace wherein our students can use the gadgets that we have, the 3D printers. So then soon we will have our laser cutters, circuit pads, cut and print device and everything, so that they can do their prototype. So they will have the actual project that we have. They have the tangible item that they want to do, so that they could revise it, perfect it, and soon market it so that it will become feasible for them. Teach our students to do coding, to do robotics as early as reason. Yes. So we teach them how to build things and how to solve things. So at that laboratory, creative thinking, problem solving is very much evident in how the students do their projects.
We're actively cultivating the diversity because we believe there's strength in diversity. And for a startup community, you need different kinds of expertise. So you might need a lawyer, you might need someone in finance, you might need somebody in, in marketing. And a lot of it tends to be the same challenges, even if you're working in different industries. So I think it's also great to be able to interact with people who might help give you a different perspective.
Hopefully, we were able to offer yung local community yung iba pang possibilities on how to look at issues, things, and approaches na pwede nilang gawin or itap na ginagamit ng contemporary art na translation ng mga ideas into their everyday life.
Shireen and I consider ourselves really as somewhat of an outsider, not belonging to any circle, and even in between art and film. We consider ourselves as filmmakers, but we also think that there is a need to think and discuss with others how film can be considered as an art and not just an entertainment. And hopefully also contribute in other venues in terms of maybe performance or installation or video work.
Through the residencies, we're able to invite international artists and local artists, and through these exchanges are quite valuable for not just for each other, but for the craftsmen that they work with and for the communities that they collaborate and expose their works to. With that, a lot of experimentation happens, and each person that takes part in these projects discovers something new. And this is something that we hope we can show to the audience here, is this way of producing art projects and this way of collaborating with different people.